Hi everybody, Steve Cady here, and we're in our soft start with the class. And what I think is important is to come early when you have a session. Let people know you'll be here early so that if they need some help getting set up, they can come early and get some support on using whatever technology is being used. Have a little bit of a getting started screen like you see here, which just encourages people to manage their muting. And manage their background noise. Encourage people to share their video. I'll share some research actually that shows that when you have your video engaged, it creates greater levels of trust and greater levels of connection between people. So there's a real positive benefit to bringing video in live. While not everybody can, it's encouraged. You can see there's also problems. If you have problems with the audio, you can click on the control panel. This here, what you're looking at is a control panel in Zoom. Every technology has some type of a control panel. Once you know where it is and what it looks like for the participants, you want to put that in your kind of getting started screen. If you do a live session, have a little getting started screen, and then you can just drop that in and you can direct people to that. The other thing is to get people going right away while they're arriving. And so just be repeating yourself over and over again, as those of you know, you hear me repeating myself, encouraging people to go into the chat. So welcome everybody that's showing up. I'm hearing more people showing up. We're just getting started with a soft start. Click on the chat if you're willing, and just say where you're from and what questions you have. And please use the chat to help each other answer the questions. Don't wait for me or Teo or someone else to answer the question. If you can answer the question, please answer it. If you have a resource to share, if you hear something really good that you want to remember later, go ahead and put it in the chat, because we'll save the chat almost like notes, if you will, in conversation. So nothing will be lost if you're helping each other. So let's use it as a parallel conversation, and it's a good thing. And so this is basically what you want to kind of have as your starting point is a little getting started instructions as people come, show up early, and just help people kind of get up to speed and so forth. The other thing you can do is you can click the mute button for everybody and mute everybody so that you can manage the background noise if you need to as the owner of the session or the host of the session. And then they can unmute themselves. And just encourage people to manage that background noise. That's the most important thing. And you can mute people individually if you need to. Then at about 3 minutes after, it's 6 after, because I'm giving a little bit of an overview of this, you go ahead and get started about 3 minutes in. I think after the start is usually a good target to get started with everything officially. And you just go to the next slide. And we have our teaching online transition. And so welcome everybody. And this is all for us to help each other and build a working community, learning community around all things that have to do with making the teaching online transition. And you can see at the link here, if you go to tinyurl.com/teaching-online-transition, there's a host of resources that are there now that we're building out. And so let me show you what we have going on there with that. So this is the link, and when you come in, you'll see a Google Doc. This document allows anybody to add anything that they want to it, and we can all edit it, and I can fix it if it gets messed up, so don't worry about that. And when you come in, you can see here, you can copy and paste this first page if you want and send it to friends or anybody, and I'll make this bigger. And I know that this right here, you can share this piece here with people and copy and paste it from there. And again, the link is right there, tinyurl.com/teaching-online-transition. So that link will bring you to this page here. You can copy this and send it to people and invite them to come. We'll meet every Tuesday and Thursday at 11 a.m. We'll be here early for people who have other questions or want some specific help. You can send, this is the link to register on Zoom. You can then come down here and you can see the sessions. Here we have the Tuesday session this past week. You can click here to see the recording link or the chat log. For those of you that are just arriving, please go into the chat and introduce yourself, say who you are, where you're from, and what question you bring today. Use the chat to ask questions, talk with each other, and have conversation, parallel conversation to the session. Encourage people to do that. You can click on the down here for today. I will put in the topics we covered, a link to the chat log, and a recording link here. If you click on the playlist here, this is one feature that I use when I do live sessions and I record them with students, is I create a playlist in YouTube. And when I create the playlist in YouTube, I just put every recorded session up on that playlist. I then take the link and put that into Canvas and say, online sessions playlist, and students can click on it and see a list of all the sessions we've had in the YouTube playlist. So and you can find these videos, these sessions that we're doing at our session playlist there on YouTube. So if you right click on that and if I click on this and open this up, you'll see here is a YouTube playlist, and there's only one video from last Tuesday, from this Tuesday. There'll be another one from today, and then as we go, there'll be more all added here, and you can just create a playlist and add it in, and you can go into here and you can click here once you create your playlist, and you can copy the playlist and you can share your playlist on Canvas or on Moodle or on Blackboard, or you can send it out as an email, and you can just have a nice long playlist of everything that you have for the class. And what you'll see in here down in the resources page, I've created playlists for you that have to do with recording lectures, Screencast-O-Matic, and how you record them, a lecture, and then move it to YouTube, a playlist of that. Camtasia, a comparison of recording lecture technologies, smartphone, Camtasia, Google Slides, how to use Google Slides, and so forth. And you can see Zoom, a Zoom YouTube playlist, a breakout group playlist, and so forth as you go. So
I shared the Teaching Online Transition link, that tiny URL in the chat, so you can simply click it there in the chat to get to the document if you need to.
Right. And so our agenda is we're going to welcome, quick recap and resources like I'm doing, and then we're going to get into the hot topic of the day. We will have a hot topic each session so that it's not the same stuff every time. So we get something new, and so we'll start out with a hot topic. Today is going to be breakout sessions in Zoom. We will use the breakout feature for peer groups and support and questions. We're going to be using that. We'll determine our next hot topic, and then we'll look at the library resources at the end, and we'll check out. We'll take an hour to do that. So as we go into breakout sessions here, Tay, you want to talk a little bit about breakout sessions and some tips and what they can expect to happen? Because we're going to use a breakout session right now.
Sure. Simply in terms of what I have found is sort of good collaborative practice is that you share a screen similar to the one that you see here on the share screen, that gives folks an idea of what's going to happen next, in terms of there's going to be a pop-up on your screen that says the host has invited you to join breakout room, and it'll have a number 1 through whatever. And you'll be asked to click the join that breakout room button, and that will then transport you into a separate session with just a number of maybe 3 to 4 or 5 other individuals. It usually takes about 5 to 10 seconds between you leaving this main session and being ported into that breakout room, so don't let that concern you. You'll have a conversation that Steve's going to frame for us in that breakout room. And then at some point, you will see another pop-up that says your breakout room will close in 60 seconds. And then you'll have like a countdown to rejoin the main session.
So we're going to use a technique called liberating structures. They have a whole bunch. If you go to liberatingstructures.com, you'll see all kinds of cool activities. One we're going to use is called impromptu networking. Right now, we're going to use a little bit larger than 2 people. They recommend 2 people and kind of having people in pairs when you're in the room live. And you just have people pair up in 2s and answer a question for 2 to 3 minutes, and then you switch them up again in 2 to 3 minutes. And it really, like within 6 minutes, you got a room connected with each other very fast. on the online session, I want to make sure people are talking. So I did it so there's 3, maybe 4 in each group. And the question I'd like you to address is, who are you? Where are you? And what's the question you bring today that would make all the difference for you in the online transition? So who are you? Where are you? And what's the question you bring today that, if answered, would make all the difference for you in your online teaching online transition? I'm going to hit a button that opens all rooms. You're going to click a button to go to that room. You all will have that discussion for 3 minutes. I'm going to do a little bit longer, 3 minutes to maybe 4, and then I'm going to bring you all back. Okay? You should see a little something there that says join a room. Go in, introduce yourself, have your conversation, and then I'll be bringing you back shortly.
Hey, Steve.
Hey there.
Hi,
Hi, Trent, Anita. You should see a button if you're there on the screen. Trent, you can head over to a discussion room. Paul, yep, there you go. Anita, if you see a little thing on inviting you to go to room. Paul, you can go if you want. Paul, if you see a little button on there, if you can't, you can unmute yourself and chat with us. Teo and I are right here.
Steve, I don't know if you saw my chat message, but I can hardly make out your share screen when you're sharing from the big display in front of you.
Okay.
And yesterday, when you switched it over to the one at left, it was like drastically better. So I don't know.
All right. So what I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna start operating from that screen over there.
Just in terms of your share screen, you can leave. It seems that Zoom has trouble, and maybe it's just right now.
No. I didn't have that problem before, I don't think, but maybe I did.
Well, I don't recall it from before, but I noticed it yesterday and today. So I'm wondering if it's a bandwidth limitation that Zoom has installed that just makes it more difficult to take that big picture and edit the resolution down.
Okay.
Since I have 2 screens, if I blow it up on my second screen, I can read it. But Paula, do you want to chat with us? Are you not able to get to your breakout room?
Hey, Paul. Hi, Mary.
No, I wasn't hearing anyone in the breakout room. No.
You have to unmute yourself?
Yeah, I unmuted and I couldn't see anyone.
Yeah, so what happens is that group may not have participated. People may have been wrestling with that. We'll see what happens when they come back. We'll talk about the experience, and that'll be something to see. I'm not sure what happened there.
So like all I saw was one person's name across my screen and I saw no pictures.
You should have.
I saw like a Steve Robinson or something across my screen, and then there were no other photos.
How big did you assign the room, Steve?
4. I'm going to a breakout room right now. Hey, Dave. How are you? Are you there, Dave? I'm doing great. Are you able to chat? Unmute yourself at all? I can unmute you. Would you like me to do that? Hey, Dave, I just unmuted you. Do you want to try talking? There's Mary. Hi, Mary.
Okay, so I joined. Okay, so I had just Dave. That's all I saw last time was Dave.
Yeah, Dave was chatting. He's doing the chat. He's not talking. His microphone may not be working. But you were one of the rooms that didn't have anybody actually. That's what happened.
Okay, and I didn't see I still don't see his pictures. Okay, but I'm in a breakout room now.
Yep. And I don't know if he's chatting or not. I'm going to leave and I'm going to bring everybody back. I wanted everybody, okay. I think I might give them another minute, but once you come on back to the main room, Dave, why don't you come on back to the main room if you're not able to chat with us live.
Cool, though. This is neat.
Yeah, I can put you in another room if you like. You want to go to another room where people are talking?
That would be neat just to see how it's
let me see if I can do. I'm going to leave the breakout room and I'll see if I can move you, okay?
Okay.
CSU.
Gotcha. You can use the chat if you wanted to just say hi, and if you have a specific question that you're bringing, pose that there, both for us to potentially answer it today. If not, it's our sort of record to make sure here's some of the things that folks want to talk about in future sessions. So if you could just hop into the chat and say hello there and share a specific question you might bring, that would be wonderful.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Dave, did you not find anyone in your breakout room? It looked like you were maybe in the breakout room and came back, Dave Erickson, or have you signed on late and we missed sending you to a breakout room? Dave, can you hear me?
Yeah, Dave can do. If you can just chat with us and let us know how things are going, that's fine. I'm going to send a broadcast to everybody right now.
Oh, Dave is saying in the chat he came back to the main room. Is it because there was nobody in your breakout room, or because those people looked funny?
Okay, I just sent everybody a note that we're going to be bringing everybody back from the breakout rooms in a minute. Hey, Rock.
If that's your intention, you're going to have to close them because it takes 60 minutes.
I'll close them. I'll close them. I know.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. So now we're bringing everybody back. So welcome everybody as you're coming back, and I'd love to hear in the chat, if you could, how did it go? What were some of your reactions to go into the breakout room? What questions do you have? So if you could in the chat, let us know how it went, and how it went, and what questions do you have about using the breakout room? Hi everybody, welcome back. The nice thing about Zoom is, like, unlike in a classroom, when you tell everybody that it's time to come back together and start talking, you can just click a button and it makes them all come back, and so it's kind of fun. But so welcome everybody as you're coming back. And in the chat room, how'd it go? Could you all use the chat room to type how'd it go and what question do you have? And don't send it to privately, send it to everybody, so you'll see where you can do private. Send the message to everyone. And how did the session go? What did you like about breaking out? What did you like about it? What question do you have? What didn't you like? You know, so tell me how it went. What did you like? What didn't you like? What question do you have? Yeah, so let us know so your thoughts there.
Steve, this is Julie Smenswick O'Brien. Just wondering if you folks are answering any of our questions in the chat. If you and Theodore are.
I'm typing a response to yours right now, Julie.
Yeah, we're looking at them. Hi, Julie. Yeah, we're looking at it. We're asking everybody to answer. Carol Gorlick's here. She's watching it to make sure the questions are answered.
Okay.
So we're watching it, and we'll be pausing and giving people a chance. If you're able to, one of the things is if you can run your video, I would appreciate it. It helps us all to be connected. You know, you don't have to, but it does help if you can have your video go live and encourage people to do that.
Here's my junkie basement, everybody.
That's all right. No problem. We love you just the way you are, right? We love you just the way you are. There's Michael Ellison. Hey, Mike. And yeah, so people are saying, you know, we can all see went well, but Bay could not participate. My question is, how to chat with only the persons in your group? You can, when you're in a group, you can hit chat, and when you hit chat, you're in that room chatting. So that's a good thing. We had a great session. Enjoyed talking with several people. We talked about how we can use the breakout rooms. Great to convene with a few people in a large group. I call it systemic breathing, and that is when you break into little groups, one of the key things is to have everybody answer the question. Try to give it an assignment when you have the breakout that causes everyone to have to respond. And so you have what's called the individual response, then the group makes sense of it. So you say, okay, talk as a group and then come together with some themes or a question as a group so that you have the individual and group. And then when you come back to the main room, you have the whole. So individual, group, whole. Individual, group, whole is like breathing. You know, it's like breathing in and breathing out, and it gets everybody to feel connected. And a lot of times you can have a room of 100 people to 300 people all instantly connected when you come back to the whole. So let me just pause and open it up for just some general comments or reactions to breakout groups and anything anybody would like to share or say. We'll just manage it. So does anybody want to say hi live and talk with us about your group and what you all talked about?
Hey, Steve, this is Greg Rich. I just wanted to speak to see if you could hear me this time, because Tuesday there was some audio difficulty with me.
Yeah, I can hear you very well, clear, and no
video is better than Tuesday too.
No lag in anything. It looks good.
Tuesday I was using my Chromebook. I don't know, and now I'm using my university laptop. So maybe, I don't know if that was the issue or not. Who knows, I guess.
Okay, gotcha.
And I guess I do have a quick question too, if you don't mind me asking.
Sure.
So if I set up the groups in the breakout rooms, or one for like a Monday session, and I want to keep them in the same groups because they're working on a simulation game, every week, will I have to will they stay in those groups, or will I have to reconfigure the breakout rooms every week? Do you know?
So I can answer that very specifically, Greg. That has to do with your meeting settings. If you create a specific meeting for a specific group, you have the option to make that a recurring meeting. That recurring meeting, you can, as the host, pre-select breakout groups and assign them and say, I have 4 breakout groups, and these 3 students are in group 1, these are in group 2, these are in group 3. If it's set as a recurring meeting, those will always be the default meeting groups. However, the session we're in right now, Steve has an option to either assign the breakout rooms manually and say, I want Donna with Karen and Christina, and I want Theo with Paul and Fernanda, but he can also just hit a button and let Zoom take care of it. And then he can either recreate those same set of groups for a second breakout session, or he can click a button that says recreate groups, and it'll dump everybody with a new pairing or a new group. But so for your specific question, it's in the meeting design when you set up the meeting, which we'll probably end up covering in another session at greater detail, the options for setting up a Zoom session and the options therein.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's good question and good answer. Yeah. So other questions? Anybody want to say hi live, ask a question? We'll go to our next, we're going to talk about some details around doing this, but just wanted to open it up and give anybody an opportunity to say hi, ask a question.
So I was actually wondering if there's a way for like the group participants to, instead of like you seeing my face, is there a way to like screencast, like, or at least show, like share my screen with somebody or with the group through Zoom?
Yes. So right now at the bottom, do you see where it says share in the control panel?
Yes.
Click on share.
Got it.
Now share your screen.
iPhone, iPad.
Share your screen. Yeah. Click what you want to share.
Desktop.
You can select then. Yep, there you go.
Now we see your screen. Now click share and unshare. Now stop sharing.
Share. And stop share.
There you go. When you go to share, it goes to a small limited view of people, and then you get to see your screen and so forth. So it's that easy.
Oh,
the other thing I just noticed, because I was playing with it too. This is Julie in St. Paul and Narakar. Is that your name? As you were sharing, if I tried to share it would tell me I could not share because you were sharing. So in other words, I couldn't cut you off.
The only person that can cut somebody off in a Zoom meeting, again, there are some sub settings that you can play with, but Steve is the only one that could stop you guys from sharing as participants.
Mm-hmm.
And what I can do is, and I typically do, is create a co-host and have a co-host. And we talked about on the last session, on Tuesday's session, we talked about training the students to be co-host with me and to be co-collaborators in managing the online technology, developing their skills, but also having a co-host is a good way to have a backup if something goes wrong. Is it Nirakar? Nirakar?
Yeah, it's Nirakar.
Nirakar.
Yeah.
And where are you from?
It's Bowling Green, Ohio, Toledo area.
All right, are you in Bowling Green right now?
I'm currently out in Lucas County right now.
Okay, cool. Well, it's good to see you.
Close by. It's good to see you too.
Yeah.
So, Steve, I want to interject that in the breakout room and in a lot of the chat, there are two separate categories of questions coming up.
Okay, and you want to introduce yourself, Carol, real quick?
I'm Carol Gorlick, and I'm part of the Nexus team with Steve and Teo, and my role is to monitor the chat and to be supportive in any way I can. And what is very clear to me is that the two completely separate and yet have to be integrated for teaching streams of questions are coming. The first ones are all these mechanical ones. And for anybody who wasn't here last week, I suggest that you go back and listen to that session because it answered many of these questions. But the second part, which everybody is asking in some way, is how do I teach specific content? And everybody sees their own content as individual. For instance, theater and piano versus society and ecosystems. And there's a lot of opportunity there. So I want you to think about that as a topic and let people be aware of the two different streams.
Yeah, okay. And so let me take the last one and let's open it up for some conversation if anybody wants to share. You can start creatively teaching anything. And it's an exploration when you invite the students to be a partner with you in how to learn that. So for example, I mentioned earlier, my son his band is meeting right now, I think actually, online with his school band. So they're all meeting and I gotta imagine, I gotta go see what they're doing eventually because they're probably all playing all together on Zoom or something fun. But they're figuring it out, you know, and I think there's other creative ways to bring people in and to find ways to make this work. So we're seeing each other. I think the most important thing is that if we see and engage with each other, it creates community and it creates trust at levels that can't be done otherwise. So through the static email assignments, that will not do it as well as creating synchronous conversation and seeing each other if possible, and hearing each other and engaging with each other. I think that's really, and you can do so much with that and help them feel less stressed and help them feel like they're connected with you. And you know what's most important is they want to know that you care and you're there for them. And so just letting them know that and letting them see that, letting the students see that in your community is also another important thing. So let me pause. Does anybody have anything they want to share or discuss around this notion of what you're teaching, how to teach topics creatively, anything like that anybody wants to share, or a question you have?
I don't have a question, but I have, it's Barbara Beth Childers from BG.
Hi, Barbara. Where are you, Barbara?
Actually, I'm in my bedroom right now, but I'm in Bowling Green.
Okay, yeah.
And my classes are all very interactive in the face-to-face area. Like I teach the pluralistic class and I base it on the movie Divergent. And I have my students be factions and they have to experience what it's like to be in different class situations. And my question is how can I adapt that here? Because since we had to do this halfway through the semester, half of my groups have already presented and the other half still have yet to go. So, and I didn't see the first session. I'm so sorry. I'm going to go back and listen to that because maybe you answered that there. But that's what I'm trying to get, is this interactive, because my classes are very cohesive, they're very community oriented, and I'm trying to continue that online as well. So
that's great. And anybody have thoughts that they want to share in regard to that? So I'll share one thing is when you do that with your, what you can do is you can have breakout groups, and you can have people go and do things with the breakout groups like you did. As Greg asked, you can set up a reoccurring group where they can go and you can put them into those groups live, and then they can come back. So I think there's some things like that that you can experiment with around how to use groups and so forth in that setting. The other thing is I've been learning that Google has YouTube videos almost on every single little thing you can do. If you even type that in and see if there's anybody demonstrating how to do it on YouTube, I've been so surprised at the resources just on YouTube alone, as opposed to even Google searching just a very specific question. I'm not sure if you're familiar. Are you familiar, Barbara, that you can put quotes around words, like 3 words in Google?
No.
So if you have a very specific set of words that you want to learn about, put quotes around it, and it will only bring those up. If you also, at the end of your Google search, if you put doc, slide, PDF, or whatever, it will only bring up PDFs. It will only bring up docs. It will only bring up Excel spreadsheets. If you, at the end of your search in Google, and you put the type of document you're looking for, it'll bring those up for you too.
Oh, okay.
So I would encourage you to do some specific questioning around it, see examples, and if you find something great, let me share my screen here. I'm going to share this screen here. This is our over here, if you could. And I know Nancy said she had a question, so I'm going to come right to you. You can put tips in here and just put them in with links, and I'll be putting more links and tips, and we got playlists on how to do different things. So if you find a really cool video on how to do something, you can type it in and put it in here to share. And this is at our teaching-online.transition, the tiny URL link for this document here. Okay?
If there's a specific issue that somebody has with a Zoom feature, Zoom does a really good job on, if you could just go to zoom.us, and on the top right corner is support or resources, I think. And if you click on that, there's a drop down, and they have video tutorials for just about anything that you can think of, including how to set up a meeting, how to use breakout rooms, how to facilitate those. So if you need to dive next level into something specifically that you're uncomfortable with or have questions about, Zoom really does a nice job in providing those resources to you, both as video tutorials as well as some step-by-step instructions. And I put some links into the chat for you that are a starting point for that.
So I believe Nancy raised her hand. So Nancy,
I did.
Yeah. So say hi. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and
Hi. Yes. Yes, I'm in Bowling Green. I'm Nancy. I'm a methods professor, so it's especially challenging for us. But through the School of Teaching and Learning, we have been cautioned in, I think, kind of powerful ways about simplifying what we do because of the students and their ability to accommodate and quickly learn. I know they learn a lot faster than I do with anything about technology. But the question is, you mentioned synchronous being worth it. And I'm slowly, actually kind of quickly being convinced to use Zoom with my students, but we weren't going to do synchronous interaction. I don't know, I was thinking about just grouping students in Canvas and allowing them to communicate together, but that's just chat. So the question is it worth it to go with Zoom and have a synchronous class and keep your scheduled class time?
I think you can experiment with it without punishment, right? I personally think you can also go into Canvas, and you can go into collaborations, and you can go into the conferencing, and you can create a conference in Canvas and have a live session with your class in there. There's WebEx that's available as well that would allow you to do it. And then there's Zoom. So you have all these options. In that playlist, in the document that I have, I put the whole playlist on how to use the WebEx feature at BGSU, and BGSU has a whole playlist in there for you. So you can click on that and learn about that. I think what I try to do is, one, have a live session, and I do it now. So like at noon,
The first one.
I do it all the time. With in-person, my online classes, I meet like once a week with them live. It's optional, and I record it and create a playlist in my class. So, and then what I do is with the playlist, I just add videos to it, but then I'll send a note out and say, hey, we just met, here's the recording, and you'll see the playlist for everything here. So it's just in the message I send out. And those that can't make it, no shame. Those that are there, great, and they all get their questions answered and stuff like that. And so they really like that. I can tell you, it makes a big difference. So I think using any of those, and if you use Zoom, Zoom is free for 40 minutes. So
Okay, 40 minutes.
you could,
For
yeah.
how many people?
Up to 100.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so what happens is when you hit the 40 minutes, you just tell people it's going to shut off. Just click on the link again and come on back. So it's just a pause. So you can keep using the free. I pay for it because I use it for a lot of things. So it's fine. I find it worthwhile. But then WebEx and the big blue button and some of the other stuff, I'm finding out about that. And so I'm going to be sharing that next week on like how to use that.
So Steve, the only reason you're teaching us Zoom or using Zoom is because you haven't used the other ones. That's really everybody's question, I think.
Yeah,
With them already.
I have found Zoom has just been the most easy and simple, and it has breakout rooms. I like the ability to do breakout rooms.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of I kind of like it for that reason. So I've chosen that, and it doesn't hurt anything. However, I'm going in to look at the WebEx, the big blue button. Other people from BG may have some thoughts on this. And if you can type it in the chat, but we can all talk about it. 2 people have raised their hand. So
thank you.
Can you make me co-host so I can help you manage that?
Yeah, so hold on a second. Allison wants to chat. Allison?
Yeah, thank you. And actually, it's ironic. Nancy and I were in our breakout session together.
Yeah.
And we worked together. And in our conversation, we talked about the synchronous conversation. I'd like to kind of add to that. A lot of what we know about many things that can be recorded should be recorded and set aside. And the synchronous activity really inspires students to have this conversation with each other and do this upward spiraling that doesn't happen when it's asynchronous. You know, the timing for capturing student thought would be in the synchronous sessions, and then you can actually put them on task, watch a video, bring them back in. I mean, it's just that quick and easy for videos. But what I am wondering about in Zoom, and I know this is a kind of a mechanical thing, it would be nice if we could go from breakout room to breakout room to facilitate those little conversations that the students are having and stay on top of that like you would in a face-to-face setting as you walk around the room from table to table.
You can do that?
You do that.
Yeah, Teo will show you. He's going to show you some tips. We're going to go through the mechanics on setting it all up. He's ready to do that now.
So
you can go to breakout room. You can even move people from one room to the other if you need to.
Oh, that's
and you saw me also sending the little messages out. Like I go to one breakout room and I see something going on, and it causes me to send a note out to everybody because I just learned something they all need to hear.
So I'll break into a little bit more of an agenda about active learning strategies later in this agenda today, but that's the part of the stuff that you do while students are with you synchronously. So thanks for the mic.
Yeah, and you're welcome, Allison. And the other thing, Allison, that I want to encourage, and this is very different, and I've experimented with this for a long time, is using the chat room as a parallel conversation, no problem. I want them to be able to step away, talk, and come back. I want them all to be kind of, it's almost like being in a little bit more of a messy room where they're in small groups, and then one person walks over and talks to somebody and comes back over, and they're all working and moving around. And just no shame, just to keep using the chat room, say hi, talk, ask questions, and so forth. I really encourage that as well.
I wanted to just spend 2 more minutes on that question regarding Zoom versus other platforms. At Nexus, we have used different other platforms. We used to sort of champion GoToMeeting and GoToWebinar for a long while. the breakout rooms that Steve referenced are the biggest reason that we are now almost exclusively on Zoom, because Zoom were the first platform that had really good infrastructure to allow breakout rooms to happen. I'll actually go into that in some more detail in my session at 1 that you're welcome to join. There's a link in the chat for that. But yes, you're able to go in and out of breakout rooms as the facilitator, as the host. You can join one, then leave it, go to another. You can broadcast messages to all of the breakout rooms, and you have ability to move people around. Gregory had a question earlier, can I preset breakout rooms? Yes. Can I create them manually in the session? Yes. Can I let Zoom just default create breakout rooms? Yes, you can. Can you then alter those and say, well, but Johnny really needs to be over here because he was on this team last week. So you can have a lot of influence in who is meeting and how they're meeting, and then help facilitate that interaction. That was the main reason that we're currently on Zoom. When we have been with clients who have used other platforms, some of the feedback I've gotten is that they feel that Zoom is the most intuitive of the platforms that they've interacted with. Zoom does a decent job in offering a brand new participant a reasonable set of features, but you then can enable additional features in the background if you become a more confident user, where the feedback that I've gotten is that WebEx is perceived as clunky, is a word that I see a lot. So that's not that we're trying to do a Zoom promotional here, it's just our experience that for participants, it has been one of the easier, if not the easiest platform to use.
So Tay, you want to take us through the mechanics? And I think while you're getting set up, Julie has a question. She has her hand up.
Right. This has to do with the overall recording, because I was wondering if you have the people in the small groups, does that become part of the recording, and how would that happen? No, okay.
That's wherever I am, it's recording. So if I go to a small group, it'll record. It just follows me wherever I go. And so if I'm sitting in the main room and everybody goes away, you can hit the pause button. It just stops recording, and then you hit record again, and it picks up where you left off.
Okay.
So
however, with a paid Zoom account, depending on the session formats, and again, there's a lot of deep sort of customizable feature sets, you can record breakout room sessions as well if that is something you desire. But you have to do a little bit more pre-planning for that session ahead of time, and you have some feature sets enabled to make that work.
All right. And this is Julie again. One thing I've noticed too is because my university bought us the One Step Up Professional, there's also a capacity there. In addition to the breakout rooms, you can poll people. You can have little surveys and get them to vote on things. But maybe you're going to cover that at your 1 o'clock.
We did that on the first
Okay.
session on Tuesday. We did a couple polls, and it's easy to set them up. You can set them up ahead of time. When you set the session up, you can go down and set polls, and then you just click and pull up a poll.
Are you sure, Julie, that is only for the paid version? I think that is available even in the free version.
You'd have to look at what you have. I'm looking at your control ribbon here on what you're showing me, and I don't see polls or breakout rooms. So
because you're a participant in this session, so you would not be able to have access to that. That would be a host feature.
I see it on mine.
Right. And you're using the free version, Steve?
No, I'm not. So we don't know I don't know for sure, but it's worth.
I'm pretty sure that if you are the host of a meeting, that it is available to you in the free session. I'll track that down. But
yeah, that's just a fact question, yes or no.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So cool. So Taya, why don't you take us through, share your screen, and take us through a kind of a tutorial on breakouts.
So as you hopefully have already experienced, we believe that breakout rooms are important because they allow each voice in the session to have a space where they can express themselves, rather than we're, I think, in the neighborhood of 40 here. There's no way that in an hour all of us will be able to be heard. It allows for some creativity, and you can really sort of leverage the virtual inputs. For a host, you'll see here this the squared icon. That is where a host would create the breakout rooms. Steve spoke a little bit to the idea of diverge and converge, or he called it the breadth that is really, I think, important in my experience to a virtual experience, that it's not just a large group session where you have to listen to reports. I find it important that there's a clear assignment, a clear question, a clear gathering thought that's stated for the group to have conversation, and that you have some sort of convening structure. Steve talked about liberating structures, that is something that we look to leverage in this virtual space, but that you give instructions as to We want you to answer this question or have this conversation. I shared with those of you that were with us this screen that gives a participant an idea. You'll get to see hey, the host has invited you. You have to click join breakout room. Once you see the bottom left corner, the breakout room will close. It gives you a ticker with 60 seconds going down. And you want to state maybe on that slide, whatever the question is specifically that you are asking them to have a conversation about. As a facilitator, or as the host rather, you will see once you click that create breakout rooms that I showed you here a second ago, it's this window icon. Now my slides are not cooperating. Okay, this icon right here, once you click that, you get a screen that looks like this on the left here, where you can assign the number of participants either automatically or manually to a number of rooms. So if there's 40, it'll show you assign 40 participants into 10 rooms, then it'll give you how many per room that is. You click create rooms. Once you have done that, it pops up a next set of screens. Once the individuals join that room, this is what you should all have seen. Once you clicked the join room icon, and it'll send you to the respective breakout room. In the breakout rooms for your participants, it's important to note that they can ask for help. On the phone, it looks something like this. I believe is an iPhone view here, where you can ask for help and then invite the host to support you. Or in the desktop or laptop version, you have that help request to invite the host for support. We talked a little bit about what are the functionality options for the host. So if you're trying to communicate with the breakout rooms, you can either join one of the breakout rooms by clicking this join icon right here, and then you actually are leaving the main session and you get pulled into that respective breakout room and have a conversation there. So if I go to breakout room 1, I can speak to Anne and Molly. If I go to breakout room 2, I can speak to Bob and John. I referenced earlier that down here, this close all rooms that will available to you as the host. Again, there is a 1-minute countdown, 60-second countdown that if you wanted to, you can alter that, but that's the default setting for Zoom. And that'll give them a signal. And you see to the left here, the feature that Steve used earlier, broadcast a message to all. If you click on that, you can type a message that goes out to all of the breakout rooms. If while you are in the main session as a host, somebody is requesting help, you'll see something pop up that looks like this bottom left image here that's currently hidden maybe behind my slide information, where Aaron Yeager in breakout room 1 is asking for help, and you can click on that and go to that breakout room and offer that support. And that is sort of my big quick overview of breakout room features, Steve.
Okay, great. So Paul has a question.
Yeah, so I know like I joined the meeting a little late. Is there a way to assign people after the fact of breaking them up into groups?
Once you've created a breakout room and you've opened them, if somebody then joins that meeting, I don't know, we'd have to have not had that happen to me.
People did show up, and you can assign people to the room. You just go into breakout rooms. It shows unassigned people, and you just drag them down and
Oh,
drop
that's right. Yeah, right.
So it's pretty straightforward. So we're getting ready to wrap up. What I'd like to do is go back. I'm gonna recreate rooms. I'm gonna do a little bit larger room, and have a little bit larger room. Have you go back, and I'd like you to talk about what are your reactions, what questions you have, and maybe what is your favorite tip that you can share. So see if somebody has a question and you can help each other. So what are your reactions, what questions, and help each other. And also, what's a question you want to bring back to the main room? Okay, so reactions, questions, and help each other, and a question to bring back. We'll just take 3 minutes to do that. So go to your room and say hi for just 3 minutes to 5 minutes in there, and then we'll do that briefly, okay? See a spot, so head on to the room to go say, check in. Reactions, questions help each other, and questions to bring back. Hey there. Do you have you okay? Yo, so you're in the break room by your okay, let me just see here. Okay, let me somebody else is acting. I'll be right back. I'll figure it out. Okay, I'll be right back.
Yeah, with all the things. So I am
you
trying
all-
to see.
Hey, you all okay?
Yeah, doing
Yeah.
good, Steve.
Okay, someone said they needed some help here. Okay, all good.
Got there, particularly with the current bandwidth issues that Zoom's experiencing. I encourage you to click join breakout room on the bottom one more time and give it another go.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I'm assuming it's the same question. I was in my own room.
That's the second time that happened to you, Mary.
I know there was no one. What is it? Was it?
So you just froze on me. It may be a bandwidth issue on your end. There also seems to be a, well, okay. Hi, Jody.
Hey, back again.
There was nobody there?
No, it was just me, just me. What was the question?
Will you give it another try? If it was just you in that room, will you just give it another try to see? I think what some of us are experiencing is that the lag between everybody else getting to the breakout room and you deciding, oh, nobody's coming. There seems to be a lot of traffic on the Zoom servers this morning.
Okay. How do I rejoin? I'm sorry.
On the bottom in the in your panel next to on the very right corner should be a join breakout room.
Master the facilitation aspect of how to use the functionality, and then how to get the cameras and things positioned in a way that allows friends.
I left, no friends. Hello, friends.
So
Hello.
my learning would be that we need to probably at the current time choose larger breakout room sessions because sometimes there is lags. My experience yesterday was that it took almost 15 seconds for me to get from the main session to the breakout room. And so maybe if you're being a little bit impatient and saying, oh, there's nobody here, they just hadn't gotten there yet. So
No, I was there for 2 minutes.
Okay.
Need to go and know what we're doing, and
I think that they'll be flexible with us. I really do.
I asked for help and then I didn't didn't
Hi,
get
Paul.
it. So. Hi, Nancy. How are you?
Good. I'm excited
I
about
asked
this.
for help too, and I didn't get it.
Well, Steve is just one person. So the way that this is currently set up, so that's another important learning. So if you want to, our session was, I think, near 40 or so earlier. In order to have support in monitoring the breakout rooms as a host, you have to assign additional folks either as co-host. And right now, Steve is a host, and I don't think anybody else is assigned. So he's the only one that has access to that feature set and getting that information of, hey, so and so breakout room has asked for support. When we've done larger sessions with more pre-planning rather than sort of these, we'll just go with the flow and react to what folks need, we have set it up in such a way that we manually assign a host for each of the breakout rooms that would then help facilitate in that breakout room. So it's really sort of, I think of the session design for larger sessions as those Russian nested dolls that basically I create a design for 6 to 12. And if I use breakout rooms, then I use that design in the respective breakout rooms.
But
and now I multiply it.
Yeah, I'm a little hesitant to get into a lot of the pre-assigning and manual and stuff because it makes it a lot more complicated. So I just think you got to tell people, be patient. You're going to go there because there are people there. So like one person said nobody was there. I just clicked on the room, went there, and there were 2 people there talking. And so people were there. And so sometimes maybe what happens, they don't get there in time. They haven't clicked it, and then you're waiting and then move on, or maybe the lag. So I'm not sure, but I've kind of been noticing that. So you might want to cue people to give it just a second. Like I'm trying to see something here and look at my.
It seems that this week everything is slower that's happening on Zoom, which is, I think, understandable.
Yeah,
I shared before we started one recommendation, since I think I should probably type this in the chat too. Zoom is really good at cloud recordings. that you can, with the paid version, that you can record sessions to the cloud, then have access to them there. This week, that doesn't seem to be working. I had a session 2 days ago that normally is available within an hour of that session ending, and I still can't get to it, and it's processing. So at the current time, it's probably recommended to record your sessions to your hard drive, which is an hour.
So anyway,
Oh. Hi, Steve.
Hey, just jumping around, seeing how everybody's doing. I'm going to bring everybody back. And
Okay,
that's good.
we had a
Good to come
nice
back
chat. We know each other.
we
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing this, Steve. It's
Hey,
really
you're
helpful.
welcome. You're welcome. We'll get there, and
Sure.
then yeah, it's working pretty well. So I'll bring everybody back.
Steve, you're muted if you're talking to the large group.
Thanks. When I came back, it muted me. So we're getting ready to check out. We're going to look at for next week as our checkout in the chat room, and we'll also have some live chatting here in the chat room. What's the question that you're leaving with today that you'd love to talk about next Tuesday? And let's see if there's some themes in the chat room for our hot topic for next Tuesday. We'll pick a hot topic and we'll do that one first, and then we'll open it up for and we're going to try to create more space for helping each other, like some just general Q&A and stuff like that, and whatnot. So in the chat room, if you could, what's your question you're leaving today with, and what would be some things you'd like to cover as a hot topic for next week? And for anybody that would like to check out live and share your answer, that'd be great as well. But type it in too, so that we have it logged, so we can go back and look at it.
We had a question in our group about whether Zoom could connect to Canvas. Anita, you were wondering about that. I don't know if Anita's still here, because she teaches at Bowling Green and wondered if it's automatically integrated. Somebody thought that WebEx was automatically integrated, but she was wondering about
WebEx is integrated, but Zoom is not.
And I had a question about whether when you're recording, is it better to record to the cloud? Zoom will offer you a record to the cloud or record to your own computer. Is there a better one or the other?
Right now, record to your computer if you have computer space, because you have control over it. Otherwise, you have to wait till they process it at Zoom, and then they make it available to you. Teo did a session 2 days ago, and it's still processing on the Zoom cloud.
Oops.
However, I'm recording to my computer, so I can upload this to YouTube pretty quick and make it available to people. So it's time to check out. So anybody have anything else that they want to check out with, and the questions, and we'll look for a hot topic for next Tuesday based on what you put in the chat room and what you share. Anybody want to check out live? How are you doing as you're leaving? Any closing thoughts, comments in the chat room or live?
I just want to thank you. This is awesome, and I really felt it before this. So, thank you.
Yeah,
good seeing you, Michael.
Great to see you, Theo, and probably I'll see you again at 1, actually.
Yeah, Teo will send something out to you all that you can come, and he's going to do a lot more on facilitating and doing that stuff at 1 o'clock today. So you can do it, even talk with him about that. Anybody else want to say bye? And
just a thought. Somebody was asking earlier about whether or not you can save the chat. I think you can save it on your own computer, and then it'll tell you where it is in the folder. So
when it saves, it has a folder. It saves the video and the chat log to the folder. I'll make this chat and the video upload it, and I'll have it in our document that we
All right,
have
great.
for everybody.
Okay.
So everybody says thanks, thank you, thanks for creating this. Good productive session. Amazing to see how quickly you respond to the needs of others. Teo put a register now for the meeting at 1 o'clock today in the chat. So if you want to register for the meeting at 1.
That's 1 o'clock
great.
Eastern, right? 1 o'clock
Yep.
Eastern.
Yep, yep.
In an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you can use breakout rooms for side conversations if you want to create it, let people go, and then people can choose not to go to the side room. You can say, I created a breakout room, go if you want, otherwise stay here. And you can do that, like a caucus room. If anybody needs a side room, you can just create a breakout room and make it manual and don't put anybody there, I think, or you can put everybody there, you just can choose not to go and stay in the main room. So I guess that's a creative way. There's all kinds of neat creative things you can do with this, and then you can play with it. Yeah, so the biggest thing I would say, tell your students, hey, I'm doing a live session, come and say hi, let's talk. I just want to share with you how I'm doing and what's going on, and here's the link, and I'm going to be figuring it out, so please come and help me figure it out. They'll come and help you figure it out, and they'll be patient with you. It's really easy. Just invite them to come, and once they see your face and you're talking like this, you're good. And you can even do a pre-session, like, hey, I'm doing a pre-practice session before we do the session at 1 today, and if anybody can come meet me at 10 just to play around with it, come meet me at 10, those that can, and then at 1 o'clock we'll have a full class session, and I'll go over the class lecture. And I mentioned last time on Tuesday, a couple things. You can hold your lecture on for the week, record a session, and then make it available for those that couldn't make it, and for everybody can go back and rewatch it, and then you can do your next one the next week. So you don't have to record all your lectures like using the screen capture recording. You can just do a Zoom, share your screen, do your lecture that way if you want, and just do it as you go to make it a little easier on you in terms of workload. Just kind of, and as long as you're getting the information out there, the students will appreciate it. So I think that's really about it for today. We'll see you all Tuesday next week at 11 o'clock. If you need anything in the meantime, just send me an email, or Teo, you got his email. So, and we'll be glad to help. Thanks, everybody. Bye.